NAFI would like to thank both AOPA and Avemco for their generous support in sponsoring this episode of More Right Rudder. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the More Right Rudder podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about a wrap-up of NAFI's 2024 and looking ahead to what we're planning for 2025. Joining us back on the show for this episode is our board chair, Karen Kalashek. She was with us just a couple of weeks ago talking about all those exciting new FAA final rules. And also joining us for this episode is Paul Prydecker, NAFI's president. Welcome.
Hey, thanks. Happy to be doing this, and it's a good time to, provide a little perspective on how the year went, and we'll try to give a little bit of insight into what we're thinking about for next year. So Sarah, as we're a member-driven organization, and our members are exceptionally important to us. We experienced good growth this year. As we went from month to month, it looked like we were on a track to have 19 to 20% growth through the year. I just checked this morning with Sharon back in the office. We have about 8,500 members right now, not including some of our association members. So we're very happy about that. And the other thing we did this past year was we increased the number of lifetime memberships. We're up to almost 140 of the lifetime memberships. And the way it works going forward, Sarah, is that as our total membership grows, then we release more lifetime memberships. So we're quite happy about that. And the other thing that we do to support members is a number of our member benefits. Those include discounts on products and services from a number of our supporters. And we continue to do that. And they're, of course, on our website. And then, of course, our content, we see as a member benefit as well. So it's been a good year, and we're in our planning stages for next year as well to, continue to drive membership. Karen, maybe you could chat a little bit about, just our overall financial picture.
Well, I have to say, I was a CPA for 37 years, so I'm very interested in monitoring our financial position, and we have done phenomenally well. So we continue to grow stronger and stronger. We're in a very good position, but that, of course, doesn't mean that we'll sit on our laurels or we don't need more money. So obviously, as our membership grows, we need to continue adding staff and supporting you with additional programming. Actually, I recently did a personal count and made some estimates and realized we have over 1,000 different content educational program offerings for our membership. So I think that's a pretty stellar outcome where we are now. And of course, we keep adding more. So we're strong, again, in a good position. We plan on continuing to use our resources for providing more educational offerings, additional benefits to our membership, representing you at various conferences, therefore increasing our advocacy impact. And we're on a great trajectory right now.
Yeah, that's good to hear. And so, of course, growth is always great. And along with that growth this year, we did have some staffing changes and brought on an additional staff member. So Paul was in charge of that. So we'll let him talk.
So many of the members, know that we had John Needhouse here. John was here for 14 years, and John, after some, time, wanted to continue his flying career and take advantage of some other opportunities. So, Sarah, as you well know, since we put out a call to replace that position and to fill it, you answered the call, and we're very glad to have you. We stay in touch with John, and he continues to do well. And we're happy to have you because you're bringing a lot of good content to us, and just kind of continuing where John left off. So we appreciate that very much.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I chat with John regularly. I think we'll be hearing from him in 2025.
Yeah, that's great.
So we've got a little plan hatched.
Yeah, and of course, the other thing is when we grow membership, it also means that we have to grow infrastructure, to help support the members. So we're very happy we added Joyce Dunbar to our staff. And Joyce is actually working in the office in Kalamazoo and is answering questions, helping members with their, membership and their profiles. and generally has been a great asset for us. So we're very happy to have Joyce. Um, the, the other thing that's part of our development is sponsorship growth and advertisers. And we continue to, work with partners, in the industry who support us. And we'll continue to do that next year as well.
So the sponsorships are, of course, very important to any small nonprofit. So we're thrilled to have the sponsors that we do, and hope to continue to grow that next year.
Indeed.
And one next thing we wanted to talk about was our Master CFI program. So Karen, can you share some insights on that?
Yes, as one of our NAFI master CFIs, I'm happy to talk about that. So the master CFI program is more than 25 years old at this point. It was actually originated by NAFI. We're thrilled that the FAA has continued to recognize it as we transition from the expiration of CFIs into recent experience for continuing to instruct as a CFI, the FAA has continued to agree that our NAFI Master CFI program can stand in lieu of any other or equally to any of the other options for maintaining previously a renewal requirement and now ongoing will be part of the recency. So someone who attains their NAFI Master CFI, which does have a 2-year cycle for renewals, can use that, as I do, to qualify for their CFI previously renewal and now recent experience. And the program, as you'd expect, people come in, some people will retire out of teaching, but we do have different levels of recognition. When you achieve 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, etc. You receive even better than the great plaque you get in the first place and the goodies, but special recognition as well.
Yeah, good motivation to continue. And I had a phone call yesterday from someone looking to apply for the first time. And so we had a chat through the application, and they're gonna email me their documents to take a peek at before they submit the full application, make sure it's all in good shape. So we're happy to help you through that process, as well, to make it as seamless as we can before you even, submit the real thing.
That's true. And thank you, sir, for your help. And those of us on the board, we're always very happy to help people who are applying for it. The first time does seem like a little uphill climb while you're learning the process. After that, it's literally a couple hours, and then you can set up your renewal pretty easily. So I really encourage people to consider applying for your NAFI master, your associate master, and your ground instructor master.
Yeah, and that's one thing that tends to get overlooked. There's actually three flavors of this. So, if you're a newer instructor or a part-time instructor, maybe that associate master is the way to go. That's a good way to get your foot in the door and learn about the application process, and you can always apply for master later, and you can move between them. You're not like stuck in one track or another. So that's always a good note to touch on. Moving on, let's talk about our events in 2024. So our big ones were Sun and Fun and Air Venture, and well, it was supposed to be Summit, but now it's there was a little hurricane. So Paul, walk us through our events.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to kick the Sun and Fun one over to Karen, and then maybe she'll kick back the Air Venture one to me because I wasn't at Sun and Fun this
Oh,
year, but Karen was. So fill us in, Karen.
Okay, I was at Sun and Fun, and it was Sun and Fun. It was phenomenal. Every year they set a new record turnout. There was an anniversary this year, which made it even larger than usual. And along with the Sun and Fun itself, we set records for new members, renewals. We had great giveaways. All this will continue and continue growing for us. So we've gotten an excellent location there, and it's wonderful to see the enthusiasm. We make presentations in I believe next year will be also the FA Safety Center as well as the typical forums that they hold there. So come and see us if you're down at Lakeland next year.
Yeah, and for Air Venture, of course, it's a major industry event. It's international, and it's something that everybody looks forward to. And not quite after the end of a show like AirVenture, we start planning for the following year, but for sure we were already in the planning stages for AirVenture in 2025 in Oshkosh. We see three things that come out of events like this. One is it gives us a chance to meet and network with our members, to also encourage other people to join the organization, of course. So member networking is really important to us. It also gives us a chance to visit with our partners and advertisers and sponsors and have discussions with them about industry trends and things like that. So it's a good educational opportunity for us. And content is very important. Over the course of the week at AirVenture, we typically do somewhere between 30 and 33 presentations, and we track the attendance. For the past couple of years, it's averaged between, say, 1,700 to 2,000 individuals come into the tent and listen to the presentations. And for us, it fulfills our mission to help educate, about aviation training and safety. So we'll be there next year in the same location. And like I said, we already have a planning committee for how we're going to make all that happen. We could not, under any circumstances, make shows like that happen without a network of volunteers.
Mm-hmm.
They're very important to us, especially at AirVenture. We have about 40 individuals who sign up to be volunteers, who help us set up and tear down and just helping in the booth during the show. So for volunteer support, it's really essential for us. And we're exceptionally appreciative of that help, because we know it's not always easy, but we hope it's fun. So, and
Yeah, I
then
had a
Summit,
great
of
time working
course.
with the volunteers this year. Of course, it was
Yeah.
my first time at AirVenture, with NAFI, and it's my first time. Well, it was my third time to AirVenture overall, but I hadn't been, oh gosh, and I think 6 or 7 years. It had been a while. So it was a lot of fun to get to meet the volunteers and work with them. I mean, it was everything from moving chairs around to greeting people to making coffee. So, but they all showed up with a smile, and they were wonderful people. So if you're coming to AirVenture, think about volunteering with us. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. It it's a team effort. I mean,
Hmm.
putting on something like this, it requires a team, and all of those individuals are important.
Hmm.
Summit, of course, is an interesting story. We had planned, to do Summit in October.
Hmm.
We were watching the weather, which involved not one but two hurricanes that were, in the area. And we met as a board and actually quite quickly determined that the best thing to do was to postpone it. Of course, it's a big decision, but on the other hand, when you consider what was going on at the time, it was a rather easy decision. We basically said we're in the safety business, so we didn't want to put people into a potentially unsafe environment. But the main thing was we felt like it wasn't appropriate to take up resources such as rental cars and hotels for a conference like this, and it would be best to recognize, what the residents of Florida were going through, and just say we're going to postpone it.
Yeah, there were
So
a lot of unknowns on how
there are
bad the
plenty of
storm was going
unknowns.
to be, and where exactly it was going to go. And normal, a hurricane, you can't always predict all
Yeah.
that. So.
Yeah, I mean, in addition, making the decision to postpone it was pretty easy, but of course, rebooting it had some unknowns associated with it as well. But as everybody knows, it's January 13th, 14th, and 15th. The speaker and the schedule will change just a little bit, but essentially, it's the same. It's the same principle. Strong focus on content, keynote speakers, panels, presentations, and we're looking forward to having everybody there. We are planning a real Summit 2025. Likely will be later in September of 2025 at a place in the Midwest, and we'll announce all that in January Summit. So we're looking forward to it. Invite everybody to come down to Daytona.
All right. Yeah, and I'm excited. That'll be my first summit, and so I'm looking forward because it turned into winter all of a sudden here where I live in the last week. So January in Florida sounds pretty nice.
Yeah, indeed, indeed.
All right, Karen, you lead up NAFI's advocacy efforts. Can you walk us through what we did in 2024?
Wow, I'm not sure we have enough time for that.
How about we just spell out all the acronyms and
We continue to grow our involvement, and we're getting really positive reactions both from our members and a lot of appreciation for things that they've been personally helped. For example, I think we're up to, boy, at least 6 members who've reached out to us directly to thank us for our advocacy and relationship that we've created and developed with the aeromedical branch, because what happens now is that certified flight instructors, and this is because of direct results of us being invited, Paul and I, to Aeromedical Summit, and recognition and conversations with Dr. Susan Northrup, the flight surgeon general, and recognition that flight instructors are professionals. And therefore, if you have an active flight instructor certificate, you're actively instructing, and for example, you've been on a deferral, we can help connect you directly to the appropriate people who will help to expedite. So we've had more than one person, several, who actually within days after they've ripped their hair out, got frustrated, waited for months going through the normal processing, within days after reaching out to us and helping make the connections, received one, in fact, within 24 hours, have received their medical certificates. And that's phenomenal, not only because it's such a direct positive impact on our membership, but the people they serve.
hmm
All their dozens and dozens of students who are also in a pending status and had to either go to another instructor or were also just waiting because they felt so strongly about the instructor they're working with. So that's a huge win. Besides that, of course, we're actively involved in a growing number of initiatives. We're regularly invited to provide NAFI membership on various working groups, advisory committees, councils, boards, etc. Uh, Sarah mentioned acronyms, so we serve on the Runway Safety Council, the FAA Surface Safety Group, the Wings Industry Network, the modernization of special airworthiness certification group. We're actually on 2 different committees relating to that. We serve on an angle of attack subcommittee and the statistical analysis team. I serve on the General Aviation Joint Safety Committee, and that's just a portion. I could go on further, but we don't want to take all this time just talking about acronyms. So we're there for you, and representing not only our membership, but the broader, of course, aviation training industry to make sure that the considerations for safety are really, really heard and it really does have a direct impact on aviation in general. So we're quite pleased with that, and we'll continue to grow our relationships and feed back to you what these outcomes are.
hmm Yeah, and that feedback has been fun for me because like with these new FAA rules that have come out and making that those handful of regulatory update videos that are out there now. Those 3 videos combined have almost 10,000 views on YouTube, and it's astounding. I had a good laugh with my husband the other night. Like, who would have thought that many people would tune in to listen to me talking about the Federal Register of all things? So,
Oh, and that's
but it's been great. They've been well received. I've had friends and colleagues like sending me messages that about those videos, and so I've seen them shared on social media. So that was a great fun little project, and we'll plan to continue that as more changes, of course, are always in the pipeline. So we'll keep putting that content out there to help make these rules, as clear and straightforward as we can. Because if anyone has actually read the Federal Register, clear and straightforward is not amongst their priorities all the time, with how federal rules are written. Um,
well, and even noting, and thank you for bringing that up, Sarah. Just pointing out again, and Sarah, in many cases, is leading the charge on this. When there's notice of proposed rulemaking that come out, we typically will form an internal working group, and carefully consider it and always provide commentary on behalf of the flight training industry. And of course, representing, and we solicit the input from our members in consideration of this. Does it get attention? Does it get heard? Does it actually affect the final rules? Absolutely, yes. Just last week at a General Aviation Joint Safety Committee, one of our top FAA people who's working on this mentioned to me specifically that NAFI's comment letter is being considered. The final rule is not out, but he commented on some of our comments, and I was able to speak to him directly about what our concerns are and what we are hoping to see in the final rule concerning these specific issues. So it does make a difference.
Hmm.
And thank you when you provide your feedback directly to us, because that does get filtered in and becomes part of our commentary as well.
Yeah, it's always critical for any membership organization to hear from the members. So if you hear something and you have an idea or a thought or feedback, absolutely share it, and it'll get in there for consideration. Speaking of our content, let's move on to our overall outreach. We have our usual offerings of eMentor, Mentor, Mentor Live, all of those.
So eMentor, of course, is our well, it's almost weekly. We do 50 weeks a year. And this is, the newsletter format that provides information and links primarily of importance to the flight training community and flight instructors. It's also where, Karen has frequently is writing a column every week, which is a pretty heavy lift. I know what that's like. But eMentor is one of those things that people can turn to get, quick information and things that are just, in transition and happening quickly. It's supported by Metro Magazine. Our editor, Beth Stanton, has done a wonderful job assembling some contributors and some writers for the magazine. Quick reminder, Sarah, it's not only in print, but also digital. So many people are taking advantage of the digital format, which has some, hyperlinks in it to make it easy to navigate. And then let's not forget Mentor Live. I think we're up to 88, 89 perhaps of
Sounds
Mentor
right.
Live. It's
Somewhere in
one
that
of our most
neighborhood.
popular programs. And it's not just for the members, it's for the entire aviation community. And Aaron Dabney and Nathan Ballard have been helping out to create, the content for that. And that too is a lot of work. And behind the scenes is John Typin, who does all the, production and gets it distributed out over the network, including over FAA SPAN's advisories.
Hmm. Yeah, that's an
And
important thing to mention with those. All those Mentor Live programs
yeah,
are eligible for Wings credit.
yeah,
So in addition to it being great content, now if you're a flight instructor, that could even contribute towards your recent experience, towards
indeed.
your phase for those knowledge credits.
And then we have podcasts. You could probably talk to us about
Yeah, I
podcasts,
know a thing or
Sarah.
two about the podcast. So we're excited. More Right Rudder continues to be successful. That's been fun for me to take over in this role. I never saw myself as a podcast host and then stumbled across this. But it's a lot of fun. This episode, it comes out on Christmas Eve. It'll be episode 115. Which is an amazing run for a podcast. And we're continuing in 2025. I record, by the time this program publishes on Christmas Eve, I'll have the first three podcasts of 2025 already recorded. So that is coming along nicely. The other thing with the podcast, not to forget, Beth Stanton, our editor, also does 6 episodes per year on the writers behind the stories. So if you're enjoying what you're seeing in Mentor, or if you've written a Mentor and want to tell your story more or have insights, you could get on one of those episodes. So those are always
If
great
somebody wants
ones.
to do a podcast, how do they do that? They reach out to you directly?
They could, yeah. So you can reach out to me directly. There is an amazing amount of content that gets on the podcast because people have emailed me or called me, and they've had an idea, and I'm happy to help you shape your content and get it, in an order so it's a great length and everything. So we're we're here to support getting that content out there. I've got one other person I'm talking to. They called me with an entirely other NAFI related question. We just got to chit-chatting, and it turns out they do this like amazing type of flying in their personal life, have this whole, or their professional life. They have this whole safety philosophy structure that supports that. And so like the conversation was almost like immediately like, you good with your NAFI stuff? Because I want to talk about that. And so, yeah, don't doubt how much content gets on here because someone just randomly called or emailed me. So if you have an interesting story, safety philosophy, experience that you want to share, we can talk and I'll help you shape that content and get it all together. So, um, we're happy to help you out and keep the podcast going strong. We also gather a lot of suggestions and things like that at Summit, Sun and Fun, Air Venture, and I'll be at all three of those. So come find me. And we'll talk.
And we're doing more with social media.
Social media too. Yeah, we have our intern, Kylie. She's a student at a university in Texas. She is doing an absolutely phenomenal job. So if you see it on social media, that's her. And the all of the groups on all the platforms continue to grow. We've started doing more content on YouTube this year. So we're working more with shorts and putting more visuals and video content with the podcast. And so if you watch that on YouTube, you'll see a little bit more content versus just the audio version because we can put that visual content in up there. We have some new content planned for 2025 that'll be kind of like a podcast extension that'll go up on social media. So we're excited for that, and it continues to grow. So join us on we're on all the platforms. Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn and YouTube are the big ones that we're on right now.
Very good. And you're running the SIGs.
Well, I'm talking to the people who run the SIGs. We'll put it that way. I update the calendar on the website.
Yeah.
But it's our SIG leaders who really run the SIGs, and these are volunteers. These are NAFI members. So we want to make sure that we recognize that they're doing this, on their own time. They're volunteers. So I help support the program. So we're up to 10 SIGs right now. And SIGs are our special interest groups. So we kind of build them as our virtual chapters. So if you wanted to go talk about a whole host of things. There's seaplane instructors, 141 instructors, instructors training instructors. There's 10 topics out there right now. They meet once a month on various schedules. You can see that on the website. They meet virtually, so it's easy for anyone to join. Our new one that started this year is with George Allen. He's one of our board members, but also owns a flight school. So he started a SIG for flight school owners and operators. And so we're very grateful for those leaders and volunteers who do that. And the program seems to be going strong and well, and everything's going good there. So that'll keep going as it is.
Yeah, I'd like to mention also that, and I think it's phenomenal, and it's not only for people that are actively teaching that kind of thing, such as there's a glider instructor group. Sarah mentioned seaplane instructors, instrument instructors, new instructors. That's a popular one.
Yeah, so even if you're, a CFI in training or a double I in training, because that's a whole different can of worms, join up on those groups and learn. They are exclusive to NAFI members, so wanted to make sure we're aware of that. But they're a fantastic resource, whether you're actively participating as an instructor doing that, or are training or considering it, or just are curious. Gliding, gliders, seaplanes, all that kind of stuff is fun. So join them and have a chat.
Exactly. This would be the perfect way to contact the people directly involved in that and get some of your questions answered one-on-one from a lot of people with great experience.
Right. Yeah. All those SIG leaders are very experienced. And so I'm sure they would help you out. All right. Moving on to 2025, we'll let Paul talk about, we're going to be doing some exciting technology updates.
Yeah, Sarah, I mean, this has been a long time coming. We certainly recognize that our website needs a refresh and an update. So we're taking on a project to significantly improve that. Really what we're trying to do is to improve the membership experience. We want to better organize our content because content is very important to us. So just stay tuned for that. This is a project that has been in process for a while, and there'll be more updates as we get into the new year. But we're looking forward to that. Of course, it's a heavy lift,
Hmm.
to take all the content that we have and prioritize it and get it organized. But mainly, we're just trying to improve the member experience. From both how do I interact with my membership profile to how do I interact with the content. So
Hmm.
it's a big deal for us.
Yeah, it'll be an exciting change for the members. So
Yeah,
I'm helping filter through some of the content and stuff right now, and so we're looking forward to a more streamlined and better curated
yeah, for
experience
sure.
for the members.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And then we're also, of course, planning our events. As Karen said, we'll be at Sun and Fun, we'll be at AirVenture, we'll be at two summits. Um, and then we also go to other events, just to help support the industry. Karen goes to Fasana, where we have a chance to, visit with flight schools. And as we look around the industry to, see what other events might be worth, our participating in, either as an exhibitor or as perhaps a speaker, then we take a look at those as well. So we're in the field quite a lot.
Yeah, yeah, getting the message out there. All right. And to wrap up, Karen wanted to share a message with us about our annual fund.
Well, as you can tell, we're growing, we're busy, we're very active. We really love the trajectory we're on. It's excellent, but none of it's possible without continuing to have increased funding. So we'd like everyone, if you would, please consider sharing our message, share that mission. Our vision is safer pilots through flight instruction excellence, and that should resonate with anyone. So we'd like to become much more well known throughout the industry as this advocate for aviation safety. Everyone had to have flight instruction, don't they? And hopefully everyone continues to receive excellent flight instruction. And we're here to support that because it's the bottom line foundation for our safety and the future of aviation as well. If we start having an increased accident rate, obviously this could get a lot of scrutiny. So what we'd like to do is have you consider not only personally, that would be wonderful, but also talking to NAFI about other party and talk to other people about NAFI. If you have an idea for an entity you're associated with that might be interested in becoming a sponsor or an advertiser, because think about that. Flight instructors, they're always asked by their students, what would you consider everything from a headset to an airplane? I've been involved in a number of airplane purchases in helping people select aircraft. So there's a wonderful world of opportunities for sponsors, advertisers, and obviously we would be very, very happy to receive donations to help support our cause because we're really a ripple effect. Every flight instructor touches multiples, and then they go on to touch other people with their role modeling, their um, safety messaging, etc. So we'd like you to consider taking an action step. And if you would, donate to our annual fund, but also spread the word to others and ask them to consider it as well. And thank you very much for that consideration.
All right. Well, Paul and Karen, thanks for taking the time to chat with us today. This wraps up 2024 for More Right Rudder. We hope everyone and our NAFI members is having a wonderful holiday season, and we'll plan to see everyone in 2025.
Thanks for doing this, Sarah.
And Happy New Year.
Listeners to the More Right Rudder podcast can get $10 off their NAFI membership. Use the code POD49, POD49 at checkout at nafinet.org. This code is good for both new and renewal memberships.